What's up, everybody? It's the Sports and Seltzers Podcast. We are back with another episode. We got How About That L right there. And we got Vince down here. We're here to talk about the NFL Super Wildcard Weekend. We want to talk about our biggest disappointment and our biggest surprise, but then we're also going to get into our divisional round picks. So, Tyler, what was your biggest disappointment from the divisional round weekend or the Super Wildcard?
Yeah, I think that's an easy choice. The Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys have lost now, I forget what it is. I want to say it's 9 out of the last 10 times they've played the Packers. They've lost. 3 of those now being in the playoffs. Aaron Jones still is absolutely dominant against the Cowboys. Every single time they play, he has the biggest game, he's ever had. And then Jordan Love, oh my goodness, I was not familiar with his game. He was incredible. I mean, I know he had people that were 20 yards wide open, but for him to play that good against supposedly what Dallas says is a great historic defense, that was unreal. But yeah. Dallas Cowboys.
3 touchdowns, right? 3 touchdowns for Aaron Jones?
3 touchdowns for Aaron Jones, 3 for Jordan Love. Jordan Love only had 4 incomplete passes or something like that. He had a perfect QBR. It was nuts. He played out of his mind. Meanwhile, Cowboys, they came in already seeming like they were going to just roll through, and clearly didn't happen. Dak underperformed. He got a lot of stats in garbage time. And then there was something off with him and CD from the get-go. They kept on talking about it too. That was strange to see. It was also strange to see Dan Quinn call zone defense for the first time all year, running mainly zone
and Romeo Dobbs just torching that zone too.
Yeah, Dallas doesn't play that much zone, and then for some reason just went into a heavy zone scheme. Clearly didn't work. And then even when there was a play where it was third and I forget, it was 3rd and 10, which is Dallas's bread and butter where they send the pass rushers, but he dropped Micah in zone, which was super weird. And then, there was a time where there was a 3rd and 1, and I don't know who Jordan Love threw it to, but I forget. But it was 3rd and 1, and Deron Bland was playing 10, 12 yards off of the receiver. So Jordan Love dropped back and threw it immediately and got the first down, which that's just questionable play calling, honestly. I don't know. Dan Quinn must have been looking forward to his next location. I hope he goes somewhere else. I can't believe Mike McCarthy is staying, but that's another time.
Breaking news. Just found out today, right?
Yeah. I guess can't hate it because him and Dak had great years in the regular season, but hopefully the next defensive coordinator brings in, players that'll play a traditional role in the defense instead of these hybrid safeties playing linebacker. That's part of the reason why Dallas's run defense is so horrific. They play with super, super undersized. And so I can rant on and on about that Cowboys game, but biggest disappointment, the Cowboys.
Look, and I'm not a Cowboys fan, but that was definitely, I feel like even my team losing was the most shocking to me. I didn't expect that at all. I think we both picked a blowout on here. The other way around for the Cowboys.
34 to 6 or something.
Yeah, and I picked, I think, 42 to something, and was the complete other way. I never expected Green Bay to blow out Dallas. If there was a blowout, I thought for sure it'd be Dallas. If Green Bay won, I thought it'd be a close game. I felt for you that day, Tyler.
That was a tough day. I did not finish the game. I stopped midway through the third quarter, or probably towards the start of the third quarter, and then I had to turn it off. Couldn't get into it.
Yeah.
Couldn't keep watching.
And so, Mike McCarthy, do you feel like now that you know that that's happening today, do you feel like that is something that's better for the Cowboys at this point, or do you think they should have looked elsewhere at head coach?
I wouldn't say better. It's not better, just because I think every year Cowboys just aren't mentally there when it comes to the playoffs or when it comes to the Niners. They're just automatically lose before the game starts. It's weird. Also, Mike McCarthy, since he's been here, we've been in like the top 10 every year or something like that for leading the league in penalties. And I think we've led it twice out of those years. And then, but it's his first year calling offensive plays, and him and Dak have great chemistry with CD also. So that's one positive. But I think if they hire a good defensive coordinator and beef up the defensive line and linebackers, I think it's gonna help. But I mean, it's kind of set up for another disappointment next year. But I mean, anyway, yeah.
I mean, a lot of your division, though, the good thing is the Giants don't look great. Washington doesn't look great.
Yeah.
Philadelphia, we saw what happened to them. Who knows where they go from here?
Yeah.
So it still seems like even after that loss, you guys, to me, seem like the favorites for next year in that division, at least.
Yeah, really, it just seems, it 100% just depends on the Eagles. The Eagles definitely could get better next year again. They've continually just been good, but hopefully the fall offs that they had rides into next year, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I'll talk about my biggest disappointment too. Obviously, I'm going to have to go with my Miami Dolphins. Fins down. That was an embarrassing loss. Kind of like you, I actually stopped watching the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
When it turned 26-7, I just couldn't take it anymore. Our offense was going nowhere. Tua had 200 passing yards, 20 of 39, so almost a 50% completion percentage. And that's with him probably throwing, 10 screens, 20 screens? I feel like I was just watching us throw screens left and right. I thought we would be able to move the ball running, and our leading rusher was Mostert with 33 yards. I don't know how that happens when we have Mostert and A-Chain. How do we rush how is our leading rusher 33 yards at that point? I think Kansas City's defense played better than I thought they would. It just shocked me that we put up 7 points. If we lost, I think we would have still put up 20 at least, make Kansas City work for it. And going in, I actually thought our defense would be our weak spot. It wasn't. With all of our injuries, I know we couldn't get to Patrick Mahomes. There was no pass rush, but they did hold them to 5 field goals, I think, or something. Like they stopped them in the red zone when they really needed to. So they were kind of playing bend, don't break. I did not expect our offense to be the reason we would lose this bad.
Leading offense.
Yeah, league leading offense. We put up points. Now, again, it was cold, and we've seen Tua in the cold, and there is a lot going on about his record in the cold and how he plays way worse when he's not in Miami, and that's why home field is probably so important for us. But at that point, we would have had to gone against the Bills, too. And with how the Bills are playing, who knows how that would have went. I mean, they already beat us twice this year. I couldn't believe it. And even the one touchdown we scored, it was an underthrown ball by Tua. And Tyreek, since he's amazing, comes back to it and then runs, dodges 3 people, and then gets in the end zone. And at that point, I was ecstatic. I was like, okay, it's 10-7. We're in this ball game. And from then on, nothing else happened. Mike McDaniel, he's a great offensive mind. I definitely don't think we keep him, obviously. I think our coaching staff is fine. This game made me question what we do at quarterback. This was the last year in his contract. We did last year because of the concussions that he was having. So instead, we gave him a year to kind of show out, and he had a great regular season. Tua did. But I see games like this, and to me, his arm strength stands out the most. I'm in this cold weather, and the ball. And it's easy for some defenses to read. So I don't know where we go with quarterback, because do we pay Tua, $40 million a year, which is probably what he'll be asking for from Miami, or do we look elsewhere? It kind of reminds me of, remember when the Rams got Stafford and Stafford kind of put them over the edge, And yes, they got a couple other things, but Stafford ended up winning them a ring. He's a strong arm quarterback. You know, you look at a lot of the quarterbacks on teams that are so great, like Mahomes and even Dak, they sling the ball. Josh Allen, too, is another one. And I don't know if his arm strength is there for this team. We have a fast team. Imagine if we had someone with the arm strength of Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen with all the weapons on our team.
Yeah.
So it's tough. I don't know what options are out there for quarterback, though, you know, because I love Tua. I do. I just don't know if he's the answer to a Super Bowl. And after watching this game, I don't think he is. But it's kind of like with you guys in Dak in a certain way, in that, I mean, where would we go? What other quarterback is out there available for us to get, to bring in, to kind of make a change?
Yeah.
And there's any quarterbacks out there.
I think the Dolphins and the Cowboys are kind of in the same exact position, as they have a win now roster, but they don't have, you know, there's questions at quarterback. There's questions with certain coordinators. For Dallas, it's defensive coordinator. 100% needs a better defensive coordinator. Really needed a better head coach too, but it's too late. Yeah, they have a win now roster. They don't have all the right pieces, you know.
They're missing something, right? And
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Nope, you go ahead.
All right. I know, like, one thing that people have been saying, right, is like leadership or whatever, right, for Dallas. Do you think that they do have a leader, or do you think that they are struggling with that?
So that's hard, because I would say the defense does have a leader. DeMarcus Lawrence, no one talks about him enough. DeMarcus Lawrence, I think, is a really good leader on the defense, but he's only one guy to where he's the only one that gets pissed and fires up the rest of the players. But some of those other players don't seem like they have a ton of fight in them. You know, whenever Dallas starts losing, that's what Dallas is. They're front runners. They have to get ahead, and then they, you know, play better. When they're down, DeMarcus Lawrence is always the guy that's trying to get in someone's ear, but no one kind of responds to it. So I think Dallas is just missing some certain pieces that'll definitely help them get better next year, which just kind of set up for another disappointing year. But yeah.
So it sounds like we're both in the same boat, kind of, with everything.
Yeah.
Obviously, our two teams would be our biggest disappointment. It was just embarrassing for both of us this weekend, and so our season. I'm wearing a baseball shirt. I'm ready for the next season.
I put all my Dallas stuff away.
Yeah, all my Dolphins stuff away.
Especially the way that they lost. I don't even want to wear how embarrassing that loss was. Oh my gosh.
What do you think was most surprising over this last weekend?
So first, for sure, Packers' biggest surprise, but I'm not going to say them again. So I would say the Texans. The Texans, even though I picked them, I didn't expect that big of a blowout, especially going against that defense. CJ Stroud just showed again why he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. And so rookie head coach, rookie quarterback, also the defense, being able to hold Flacco. I know he's old and he's probably running on E right now, or during that game, but he was on fire. You know, I know he had turnovers and stuff, but he was still on fire. The Browns as a team were on fire. You know, they were playing really good, and to go against a rookie quarterback with that defense, that was by far the biggest surprise to me.
Yeah. You know, and I will say I picked Cleveland. That wasn't the right pick. It was not, and I gotta say, CJ Stroud, I will not doubt you again, because that was insane. That he just went on another level. I think that's a great biggest surprise. I think for me, my biggest surprise, I'm actually going to go Detroit. And the reason I'm going to say Detroit is because I feel like even though they were the higher seed, even though they were the home team, I felt like there was a lot of pressure going in to that game on them, more than the LA Rams. The LA Rams kind of came back. They weren't like in the playoff picture for a majority of the time. Matthew Stafford going back to Detroit, but they've already won a trophy. For Detroit, this is their first home playoff game in 30 years. I mean, and you have Stafford coming back in and booing Stafford was crazy. That was pretty wild to me.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that. I thought they would kind of cheer him on, and I get it's the playoffs, but he did do a lot for Detroit too. So to me, Detroit pulling that game out was a huge surprise. I thought the Rams were, and I think we talked about it on our last episode, that the Rams are a scary team. We definitely thought that they had a lot of weapons and Puka had a great game.
They were my dark horse.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they were your dark. Hey, Cleveland was mine, so don't worry.
Yeah.
So I would say that them winning that game was a huge surprise to me. I really thought the Rams were going to take that one. I thought the experience of Stafford and Sean McVay, I thought that was going to come into play, and to see Detroit take it, it was a big surprise, but it was great to see Detroit win it for that city.
Yeah.
All right, let's get in to our divisional round picks. This weekend, Tyler, we got 4 games on. Before we get to that, though, let's talk about our records from the Super Wild Card weekend. We did our picks on our last episode. Tyler, what was your record? What did you go in that?
4-2.
4-2, and your 2 wrong ones were...
Yeah, my 2 wrong ones were the Rams and the Cowboys.
Rams and the Cowboys.
Yep.
All right. And then, well, I give you props. I came in at a 1-5 record. The only game I got right was the which one was it? Oh my gosh, the Bills. The Bills. Only game I got right, which is probably the most obvious game of the whole time. It was tough. It was tough, man. Well, let's change it around, and our records start over for this one, okay?
Yeah.
So into these games, let's take a look at these 4. Let's go ahead and start with our first game on Saturday. It's actually going to be the Texans going to Baltimore to face the Baltimore Ravens. I can start with this one. I know Baltimore's a 9-point favorite. The game's at 1:30, so it's going to be kind of a day game for us down here in Cali, right?
Yeah.
I know I said I will never doubt CJ Stroud again, but I think this is where his road ends. I just Baltimore's defense, and I guess last week, I said it with Cleveland that their defense is special. They would stop Stroud. I think Baltimore's defense is not going to fall off the cliff like Cleveland's defense did. I think they're going to be there. I think Baltimore is on a mission to make and win the Super Bowl. I think Lamar Jackson is as well. I think Texans honestly will have trouble stopping Lamar in that offense. And so CJ will have to try to keep up with them. And he is a great young quarterback with a bright future. I think he already is a superstar in this league in his first year, honestly. He's made a name for himself. I just think it's going to stop in Baltimore. That's a tough place to play. You're going against a defense that will take chances. They will hit hard. They will let you know that they are here to move on. So I'm going to go to the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to say the score is 27-17. So they will cover the spread by 1 point. I'm going to go Baltimore 27-17.
So for me, I definitely want to keep riding with the Texans. It's a good story. At the same time, they are going against. I mean, like you said, they went against the top defense on the Browns, but I think the Ravens, obviously, they're better defense, and I think CJ Stroud will eventually hit a game where he doesn't play like one of the best as a rookie, I don't know if it's going to be this game or not, but I definitely think the Ravens are going to be too much. And I think Lamar, with his legs, is going to be the difference. I'll say the Texans are going to lose, Ravens are going to win, but I'm going to say they're not going to cover the spread, and it's going to be a really close game. I'm going to say 27-24.
All right. I saw this stat today, too, about the over-under. I don't know if you saw with Lamar in playoff games, that in every playoff game he's played, the over-under points has been under. So if you're betting, maybe go under. Yeah. I think it's at like 40.5, 43.5.
Yeah.
So, but I think we might see a different Lamar this time around. I really do. This team is just different right now. And Mark Andrews is playing, right?
I don't know if he's playing, but it's definitely trending up is what I thought it said last. I'm not sure.
Man, if he comes back, and I think you mentioned last week too with Dalvin Cook there now too, you never know how he's going to be fit into that offense.
Yeah.
All right, let's stay on the AFC side. We're going to go the Kansas City Chiefs at the Buffalo Bills. Patrick Mahomes' first away playoff game, which is insane to say after him winning Super Bowls and being in the playoffs every year. That's pretty impressive. Right now, Buffalo is actually favored by 3 points. It's going to be the Sunday afternoon kind of game. It's at 3:30 p.m., but it's our last game of the weekend. Tyler, who you got in this game, the Kansas City Chiefs or the Buffalo Bills?
I think the Chiefs. So obviously the Chiefs have been every year they beat the Bills in the playoffs. I think now that they're playing, the Bills are now playing home field against them. I'm going to actually say the difference, or I'm going to say that the Bills are going to win this year. They'll be able to finally get the Chiefs off their back. I think Patrick Mahomes, he doesn't have the same weapons, obviously, as he's been. I don't think he's going to be able to basically be the entire difference of that game. And I think the Bills, with the way they've been playing and the way they've been on fire, I think they pull it out. And I'll say the Bills are going to win. To me, all of them seem like they're going to be close games. I'm going to say the Bills are going to win 34 to 28.
Okay, so pretty high-scoring game.
Yeah.
And I wonder, I know Buffalo this last weekend was crazy weather. I wonder what it's going to be like when they play.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think the smartest move Kansas City did last week was sit Kadarius Toney. So if they keep doing that, then they're probably going to have a pretty good chance. For me, I agree with you. I think the Bills, right, they've struggled against Kansas City Chiefs. Josh Allen, this is an important game for him. I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs. I just think for some reason, I think they're going to keep winning. I think they are such a tough out. Josh Allen has been playing great, but we have seen sometimes he turns the ball over at unfortunate times. And if you turn the ball over against Patrick Mahomes, I think he can capitalize on it. I see Travis Kelce having a better game. I know he had a couple drops last week against Miami. Rashee Rice, man, he is a solid wide receiver. I think they've got a good draft pick. Yeah, he's a pretty solid receiver for them to start with, a young rookie like him. I think he'll have a solid game. I think the difference is going to be the Bills' defensive health. I know they've lost a lot of players. And the Kansas City Chiefs' defense is for real. L'Jarius Sneed is insane. I don't know if you saw the play where Tyreek, he just like put him down.
Yeah,
he just dogged Tyreek. It was just terrible for me to watch. Tyreek actually commented on it, saying like, you didn't have to do me like that. I just think I think Diggs will have a little bit of a problem with him. So I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs. I actually think it won't be a super high scoring game. Oh, I think Isaiah Pacheco, by the way, too. He's pretty insane.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a tough tackle for the Bills. I do think it will be a close game, but I actually think it's going to be Josh Allen turning the ball over. That's going to cost the Buffalo Bills. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs winning 24-21. I'm going to go field goal game. I think it won't be too high scoring. I think the defenses will step up a little bit, especially Kansas City's. So that's why they'll take it. Now that I'm saying that, remember I was 1-5 last week. So if anyone out there is betting on these games, listen to the 4-2 Tyler over there. All right, let's move to the NFC side. Green Bay Packers are going to San Francisco. I am sure San Francisco is a little bit happy that the Dallas Cowboys are out of the playoffs, Tyler, because that seemed like a big competition for them.
I don't know about that. I think they're happy the Cowboys are. Yeah. The Niners are sad the Cowboys are out of the playoffs.
They would love to play them, huh?
Yeah.
All right, well, it's going to be the Green Bay Packers going to Santa Clara, face the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are favored by 9 points right now, so just like Baltimore. I can start with this one if you want, since you start on the last one.
Yeah.
I know Green Bay played great in Dallas. Jordan Love, like you said, he was shocking. I think him and C.J. Stroud had the same passer rating. was like 137, right? Something like that. 157, 137. But they had the same passer rating. They both went off. Aaron Jones, he did have those 3 touchdowns. I'm picking the San Francisco 49ers. I actually think they're going to win pretty convincingly. Aaron Jones just loves to play in Dallas. So I don't think he will have 3 touchdowns in Santa Clara for some reason when he goes to Dallas, when he goes back to where he was from and wanted to be drafted. He plays different. I don't see him getting 3 touchdowns. The San Francisco 49ers defense is for real. Their offense, Kyle Shanahan put some plays together. I think the Green Bay defense is really going to struggle with McCaffrey, Debo, Ayuk, Kittle. There's just so many weapons on offense for San Francisco that I don't think Green Bay's defense is going to be able to keep up at all. I got this game being 35-21 San Francisco.
So for me, I think, so obviously with Niners, their offense is just insane with firepower. Meanwhile, the Packers defense are supposed to be really bad. For some reason, they played great against Cowboys, but that also may say something more so of how Dallas came out. So I'm going to say that the Packers are obviously not going to have the same type of game. I think Jordan Love will play still a really good game, and he'll be he's not going to have a perfect passer rating, but he's going to have a great game. Just because I think the Niners, their weakness is their secondary. So I think Love will have another good game. Meanwhile, Aaron Jones isn't going to be able to run like that on that defense. But I will say I think this game's going to be close. I'm going to say the Niners are going to win 28-21. It'll just be a touchdown.
All right. So we're both picking San Francisco on that one, though.
Yeah.
All right. Let's head over to our last game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who absolutely stomped the Philadelphia Eagles. That surprised me, by the way. I didn't think the Eagles would lose that bad, even if they lost. That was just awful. They're going to Detroit to play the Lions. Detroit gets a second home game after getting their first one in over 30 years, so those fans are probably loving it over there. Detroit's favored by 6.5 points. This is also a Sunday game. Tyler, who are you picking for this one, the Buccaneers or the Lions?
So the Bucs have been red hot also, and then Mike Evans and Baker. My goodness, have they been a good duo? I think the Bucs they've won like the last like 5 or 6 games or so, or I think they've won the last 5 out of their 6 or something like that. They've been also on a crazy streak. I'm gonna say that the Lions are gonna win in a. Man, I'm kind of realizing how close a lot of these games I feel like are going to be.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the Lions are going to win 27-24, and the Lions are going to end up going to the NFC Championship, which is crazy to say.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I think Goff is going to be playing great with the new life basically that he's gotten in Detroit. So yeah, I think the Lions are going to pull it out.
All right. And I guess, you know how I said San Francisco might be happy Dallas is out? Detroit might be happy Dallas to get the second home game, right? They would have played in Dallas.
But they would have played Dallas, and I think Dan Campbell, I think he wanted to play Dallas again after the way the last game
That's
ended.
true.
So,
yeah.
I think he also might be sad. I mean, the truth is he's playing a worse team now. So
yeah,
who knows? You know, I mean, the Bucs. I still it's weird to think that the Bucs are good still, you know, especially with Baker leading. I mean, it would just be crazy if Baker made it to the NFC Championship, honestly. But
that would be wild.
Yeah, but I just think the Lions are going to be too much.
Okay, what was the score you had? Was it 27-24?
I think.
I think so.
Pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm with you. I have Detroit taking this game too. I think Baker Mayfield surprised me this year. I think he earned a contract. He's going to get paid by the Bucs. I think the Bucs need to keep him. I think he's proven himself, and he was about to be like lifelong backup, don't you think? Like until this, I mean, it was almost
be a backup. Yeah,
it was his time. So for Baker to show out like he has this year, I've been super impressed. He found that connection with Mike Evans. That's been lethal all year. I just think it stops in Detroit. Detroit right now, they're on a roll. I think they're going to keep it going. I think the offense will be too much for the Bucs defense. I know Todd Bowles. There's some wild defensive blitzes and some defensive schemes. I think Dan Campbell will have some stuff up his sleeve. I think it'll be an interestingly coached game on both sides. Detroit loves to take chances. They're going to go for that again. Jahmyr Gibbs, there's just a lot of speed on Detroit. Jahmyr Gibbs, man, is just – he's the real deal. He's fast. Yeah. He can catch. He's elusive. And then obviously Amon-Ra St. Brown has just been a stud over these last couple of years. So I'm going to pick Detroit as well. I'm with you, though. I do think it's going to be a close game. I think the spread being at 6.5, I think that's a little high because I think they're discounting this Buccaneers offense, how it looked last week, which was really good. And I know it's the Eagles defense, but Detroit's defense ain't nothing to brag about. It's nothing crazy.
That pass rush is crazy, though.
The pass rush is with Hutchinson. Yeah. Oh, man, he's a stud. Yeah. Pass rush is. But the Buccaneers do have some weapons with Mike Evans. Honestly, Cade Otton, he's a pretty good tight end.
Godwin,
he's been pretty good. Yeah. Godwin, yeah, they got some weapons over there too. Trey Palmer. So I'm going to pick Detroit, close game. I'm going to say, believe it or not, I'm going to go 17-14. I'm going to call it a little low scoring and kind of think it's going to be a little bit of a battle with these two teams.
I could see that happening too. And then another thing that you were talking about is the Buccaneers, the road stops in Detroit, which that's crazy. Like in the beginning of the year, if you talked about the Buccaneers making it to the divisional round, no one would have thought that, honestly, with Baker. So, I mean, that's still crazy, you know.
It is. And I mean, like I said, I picked the Eagles last week, and boy, some of those picks I did last week, Tyler, I don't know why you let me even pick that. I don't know why you let me pick some of these, because most of the ones I picked turned out to be blowouts the opposite way. It wasn't even close. All right, Tyler, we're about to be out of here. Next week, we got to talk about who is in the conference championships. Yeah. So we're going to see after this weekend how this is going to pan out. We'll see how our picks go.
Sounds good.
All right. See you guys soon.